Oh, yes.
Welcome back, everyone. It's been a while, but new year, new me, and after doing a lot of contemplation over the direction of the future of the channel, I decided to just kind of come back strong this year and hop right back into things. Obviously, there'll be a gap in the reviews because I haven't been doing any for a while, so I figured we'll start from a clean slate and get on with our new 2023 stuff, starting with the brand new Transformers Legacy Evolution Voyager class Maximal Leo Prime, a character more commonly known as Lio Convoy. So this character is a great way to start off the new subline of Legacy for the 2023 year, because it is a character that has never been properly rendered here in the Western market. Like, yeah, we've recolored some other figures and called them Leo Prime, but this is the first time that Hasbro has put out a proper Leo Prime figure. And this is a character that I've always been very fond of, being a huge Beast Wars nerd myself, though his original toy wasn't really that great of a figure. Maybe for its time it was pretty good, but I always found it to be, kind of a brick. This, something that seems to blend elements from the original toy as well as the Masterpiece figure, is much more to my liking, because it looks like the character, yet has the articulation of a high-end modern action figure. That being said, if you've seen my reviews before, you know how this goes. We're going to take a look at Leo Prime, or Lio Convoy's packaging. Then we'll open it up, we'll get a quick look at the instructions, and then we'll see Leo Prime himself in both Beast and Robot modes. Naturally, I'll be doing some group shots comparisons today, and then at the end of the video, I'll give my final thoughts. So Leo Prime comes in what is now our standard Legacy Evolution packaging. Physically, it's more or less the same as last year's Legacy packaging. It just now has updated print, which goes for a more blue and green aesthetic, which I do prefer over the more like pinkish purplish look of regular Legacy. I was never really crazy about the colors. And I do think kind of the darker background does help the artwork stand out a little bit. As you can see, he's got his really awesome white lion beast mode displayed proudly on the front with glowing yellow eyes, which is very nice. They moved the QR codes up to the top now, you can see that. So you can still scan this in on the Transformers website and get a little bio and some info for Leo Prime here. They didn't actually call it a universe. That's interesting. You think they would have, but oh well. I think it'd be like a Beast Wars 2 universe or something. Guess he's just officially part of G1. Alright, so we get the artwork of Leo Prime's robot mode, close up far away, as well as his name and Ancient Autobot. And then on the back we get our renders of the toy in both Beast and Robot modes. He takes 35 steps to transform, which is not a small amount, and I'm very happy to see that. He's nice and complex and well fleshed out, or at least appears to be. They're showing off the ability for his lion mane to flip forward and reveal blasters, very similar to the original toy that had little missile launchers that would flip out under his mane. And then they have this call out here, and this is the new gimmick for Legacy Evolution. Last year was like the Energon weapons thing. This year they're doing what they call Evo Fusion. And I have to admit, this is probably the most nebulous, ill-defined gimmick they've ever put out, because this Evo Fusion thing seems to just be the name for any sort of like weapon deployment or use of their accessories. Again, I feel like they just had to make the marketing team happy, or make like, the bean counters happy at Hasbro. Like, yeah, we got a new gimmick. We got it. Like, it's not the guy's just flipping his claws out. That's what that's a picture of, which is something the original toy could do. Like, it's nothing special. It's cool they included it, but like this, if it makes the Hasbro executives happy and they slap that on there, great, because we can just as easily just disregard that. You can see the lion eyes here, which have been the point of quite a bit of contention since the reveal of this guy, because they really are just unpainted and the same color plastic as his mane and claws and everything. Just kind of this mustardy golden color, which I kind of get what they were going for. I guess they're trying to capture this look of glowing yellow eyes, though that's not something that's traditional in the character. He was drawn to be kind of cartoony in the old cartoon. Cartooning the cartoon. Sure, why not? But obviously here they're still going with the Kingdom trend of making the beast modes more realistic looking, which is fine. The realistic looking lion face is whatever. But I feel like with having the eyes just completely unpainted, he just looks kind of dead. Looks like a zombie lion. And I feel just a tiny splash of paint on the eyes would have done wonders for the look of this guy. Whether it's actually painting them more of a yellow color like we see on the front of the box, or just painting little black pupils on the already golden eyes. I mean, lions already have kind of a goldish color to their eyes, so just putting some little black slits on there would have made this guy look a lot better. So that's probably my first major contention before we even open the box is the lion mode. I mean, overall solid, but the face is a little disturbing to look at. All right, and then over here, we get our new side panel art for the 2023 or Evolution year. So this is our Autobot / Maximal / whatever other faction they throw out there, half of our Legacy Evolution art. And you get quite a bit going on here. You can see half of Armada Optimus Prime, which is very exciting, by the way. And he's presumably the commander class for this year. We get Breakdown, who's technically branded as being regular Legacy to fit in with the other Stunticons, and is also a piece of junk, but we'll get to that here shortly. See Leo Prime himself. We get the Dinobots, who are appearing at a combining core class capacity this year. We get Crosscut, who is going to be a retool of last year's Skids, for better or for worse. And we get a whole bunch of these Junkions, which are like the new weaponizers or modulators for Evolution this year. And the big difference between them and your previous, weaponizing gimmick characters is that they can actually transform without having to come apart. So it makes them more proper Transformers and probably fixes a lot of the reluctance that people had to pick up these other characters that would, come apart and become armor and weapons and stuff. Because you can just, if you want to just ignore that fact and just have a Transformer, these guys fulfill that role a lot better. So that's pretty cool. And here, is that Needlenose? That's kind of random because Needlenose is a bad guy. You think he'd be on the other side of this, but I don't know. We also see this face right here. And from the first glance, you think, oh, that's Tarn because he's coming this year. But they hinted that this is actually, there's more to this than you think. And I believe this is the face of what the Titan class figure is going to be this year, which, according to rumors, is going to be the Nemesis. So just like in Kingdom, we got the Ark that turned into a big old robot that resembled the last Autobot or Autonomous Maximus. Here, we're going to get the Nemesis that turns into a robot, presumably with this Decepticon-inspired face. I don't know if that's just purely, because they want to make it look like the Decepticon faction, or if that's a deeper reference. Who knows, maybe in this fiction, Tarn becomes part of the Nemesis? I don't know. Personally, I was hoping for a more recognizable character to show up in the form of that Titan. Heck, I'd even take a new Trypticon just as a reference to the old, Fall of Seibertron thing. But it's fine, it is what it is. I am excited for the prospect either way. All right, so that is the packaging. Spent a lot of time talking about it, but it's our first time looking at this new packaging, so I wanted to delve into that a bit. So overall, great presentation. Again, I prefer the new colors here. I think they really make it pop, and they are somewhat more reminiscent of that Velocitron packaging from Walmart that I said I liked more than the regular Legacy packaging, so it's kind of a win-win there. But now, we need to go ahead and open this guy up. All right, here's the instruction sheet for Leo Prime. So you get the nice render on the front. These are up in more of a, kind of almost a dark gray color than the other instructions. But luckily, the actual renders aren't too dark, so you can still see everything you're doing. So this first bit shows you how to kind of load up his accessories in different ways. So you can store 2 of his missiles like on his back in robot mode and the other 2 under his lion mane. You can flip these little main bits out on his forearms, as well as flip out his, Evo fusion claws or whatever, and then even attach all his blasters around his hands and his forearms like the original toy, which is cool. This shows you how to have all of his missiles flipped out on his lion mane. Also shows you how to open his chest compartment for his Energon Matrix, which he does thankfully still have. Very nice touch. And then we get the transformation from robot to lion mode, which takes up part of this side, and pretty much all of this side. It is 35 steps. Shows you how to open and close his mouth, and then how to, once again, load his blasters or missiles, whatever you call them, into his main, like he did for the robot mode. So he retains a lot of the same play features of the original toy. The biggest difference is that he's not made of mostly spring-loaded gimmicks, which does, kind of increase his longevity, because those springs, they get weak over time, or the latches get weak, and then you have issues with things not popping out when you want them to, or popping out when you don't want them to. So I think this is a much better approach to just have everything be more manual. And now we get to see the lion mode, along with his 4 blasters that just come detached out of the box, and we'll mess with those in a second. So the lion mode, overall, I think looks great. And, for something that has to turn a robot, looks about as well as you could expect. Obviously, got some robot kibble on the back legs, which is a really common place for this to end up on, beast mode Transformers. backs of the legs usually get sacrificed. And you see some, a little bit underneath. Kind of see his fist poking out there, but from a top profile on the front, he looks pretty much perfect. There's the sad dead eyes that he has. That just imagine what a little slit of black right here for the feline eyes would have done for this toy. Would have made it look much better. Or paint the whole eyes yellow to make them look like they're glowing. Because right now he just looks kind of dead. His mouth does open and close, which is nice. He's got the paint on the nose there. The mane is mostly this goldish plastic, though there is some paint utilized, like on this back panel here. Tails made that same goldish plastic. Overall, he looks nice. He has some posability. Nothing special, just enough to kind of move the front legs back and forth and reposition the hind legs a bit, which is pretty standard for these quadrupeds like this. And I say, overall, he looks good. I really have no complaints with the beast mode other than the lack of paint on the eyes. That's really it, because everything else about this I think looks about as well as you could expect, especially at the Voyager size and not like a big old masterpiece. Now let's take a look at these blasters here. So they come in 2 pairs, each pair with its own distinct style and connection piece. Here you get just 5mm posts on these 2, and then here you get these little tabs. All right, you attach these in a very similar way that you do with the old toy. Now, for this part, I'll probably need to undo the back a little bit because I guess my nails just aren't really long enough to get down in here. But you're supposed to flip these panels up, and they do kind of set in there pretty firmly. So if you're like me and you can't get down in there to flip them out, best thing you do is lift up on this piece right here, kind of break it loose, pop the middle piece loose from the hind one like so, and then pull this one up. And that should enable you to flip these out. This will actually come in handy when it comes time for the accessory storage. So you just kind of put everything back the way I had it. Pull it nice and neat again. All right. So you flip these out. Take the ones with the 5mm posts and you put them on the top of the mane like this. And here, then the ones with the tabs you put in these little slots right here on the side of the mane. So you don't need to flip out the side of his mane for this. Change that a little bit. All right, so you get kind of his attack mode, and yeah, it looks pretty cool. It's not very intrusive, It's a gimmick from the original toy, so it's kind of appreciated being here. It doesn't get in the way of anything, which is very nice. And I do appreciate them moving to just solid blaster pieces rather than the missile launchers, because again, spring-loaded parts, they don't last very long. All right, so there's that, which is very cool. And then you can always just store these away. So for the top part, you just put them back where they go, like you'd expect. And for these 2, you want to undo the back panels again. This one's always kind of tight. There you go. Pull this guy out. And these are actually going to set in here like this. So if you want to have him in lion mode and you don't want his missiles or blasters or whatever just kind of sticking out or being set to the side, they can all be stored away like so. So that's very nice. And you just close everything back up. Look at that. Nice and clean. So overall, big fan of the beast mode. I like the fact that they were able to keep, some of the play pattern there, but, make it work in a way to where it doesn't get in the way of anything, which is very nice. And now here we get our first group shot with the original Lio Convoy toy, or more specifically, this is the Flash Lio Convoy that they released to celebrate the Beast Wars the second movie, where Lio Convoy turned into Flash Lio Convoy, and then Convoy, or Optimus Primal, turned into Burning Convoy, which we still haven't gotten that from the Kingdom Optimus Primal yet. I'm kind of surprised. Maybe they'll do a 2-pack like they did back in the day. Maybe we'll get a Flash version of this guy and a Burning version of the Kingdom Primal. That would be honestly a fantastic 2-pack, whether that's an exclusive or a selects thing. I'd be down for that. Because I do feel that Optimus Primal mold has been severely underutilized, right? They had the regular Kingdom one, and they had the Netflix minor recolor, and that was it. And I'm surprised we haven't seen that more, because there's so much potential for recolors. Anyway, so this is the original toy. You can see I kind of have him standing on his tippy toes right here on the front, because these are attached to these big ball joints, which have become very, very weak with age. And I barely have ever messed with this guy at all, right? He's mostly been on a shelf, so it's just purely material fatigue that's going on here. So I have to have him stand like this, because if I try to put him flat on his feet, he just falls forward. So yeah, again, it already shows you kind of how dated this toy is and how, you know, it may have been a great character, but didn't have the best figure. In fact, I feel out of like your 3 Beast Wars leaders, right? Your Primal, your Lio Convoy, your Big Convoy. Lio Convoy really just got shafted when it came to, you know, his toy. I think he has the worst toy out of all of them. But, you know, it's still a classic toy. It's still pretty cool. So you can see, obviously, the old toy's a lot bigger. Very similar looking as far as layout. One thing that's a shame is even the mouth is spring-loaded. So, like, you can open it, but it just shuts again. So you can't even have him, like, pose with his mouth open. Kind of lame. Again, these are on, like, these really weak ball joints. You have the little flip-out cannon things for this guy. Come on. How do you get these to release? There's a way. I know there is. I'll just pull them out. I guess just pull them out. All right. There's probably a better way, but I can't remember. So, you know, you flip these out. You take his missiles, right? Comes with a bunch of missiles, and you just, like, stick them in here. And, I mean, it works. It does stuff. But, again, it's just kind of awkward. And it was good for the time, right? For young 90s kids that wanted a cool toy to play with, it was neat. For somebody who wants something a little longer lasting or something more posable or less of a hassle to deal with, not really ideal. So I do like, you know, this new approach here more than the gimmick-ridden toy of the 90s. But it's still a classic toy. It's still neat. See how he's got the cartoony painted eyes? I don't know if I would have gone for this effect. I really think just simple pupils would have been the best way to go here. But that's just me. I know the Masterpiece toy, they went super cartoon. Like, to the point where the lion mane was very complex because they wanted to look furry and organic in beast mode, and they had to completely invert the thing to get that more armored or angular look that he sports in the robot mode in the cartoon. I feel it's kind of unnecessary. The toys never did that. And again, I'm not one for making a toy ridiculously complex or compromised to get that 100% cartoon accuracy. So that part really doesn't bother me. All right, now it's time to transform our Lio Convoy to his robot mode. So the first thing we're going to do is something you've already seen me do a little bit, is start opening up the back panels. So pull that up, separate it from the middle piece here, hold all that away, and then pull this guy up and out of the way, like so. Straighten the legs out. Got those double joints kind of pulled all the way out. Flip these around. Flip out the heel spurs. A nice little bit of tech detailing down in there. They didn't have to do it, but they did, and that's cool. All right, flip the legs around like so. Okay. Now we're gonna lift these up out of the way here. Flip these up where they're tabbed in. Close the main for now. All right, gonna pop the arms off so they actually tab into this inside bit of the main right here. So just kind of flip all this down, straighten out the fists, close these shoulder panels where they tab in. The arms you have to manipulate a little bit, kind of bring them down, flip them around at the bicep swivel. Same thing here. All right, leave these out. We're going to open this panel, flip out the robot head, spin this whole thing around, flip it back up, and then close the robot chest, like so. This may come open on you, just close it for now. All right, now here, I'm gonna rotate these down, bring the lion feet up, kind of fold away the kibble for now. You know, if you're going for the clean robot mode, unless you want to skip straight to his battle mode or something. All right, so you get all that. You gotta spin this apparatus around, like so. Rotate these. Close up his back like this. And the lion head bit actually slides inward a little bit. This little red slide here. Oh yeah, and the tail hides away for a much cleaner look than the old toy, which had the tail just hanging out. All right, so this is like your base robot mode. And in my opinion, it looks amazing. This is pretty much everything I could ask for in a LIO Convoy toy. It hits all the major beats, and despite having a somewhat different transformation than the old toy and, you know, likely the masterpiece, the end result still looks exactly the way it should. There's tiny little differences in the details, but, you know, at first glance, you know exactly who this character is. And all his kibble and everything pretty much looks like where, you know, it's supposed to be, how it's supposed to look. Let's take a quick look at his posability. So you got the ball jointed head, got your universal shoulders, a bicep swivel, single elbow bend, which is not too bad. It's more than a 90. He does not have wrist swivel, unfortunately. It's all just this one piece on that hinge there. He has a full waist swivel, which is awesome. Universal hips, thigh swivel. Really, technically a single knee bend because this part up here just locks into place, but he gets a pretty deep bend. He has technically like an ankle rotation, though it kind of messes up the shape of his leg. And then he's got ankle tilt. So just about everything you could ask for. I really would have preferred if he had wrist swivel, but not a huge loss. That's always kind of hit or miss there. All right. But overall, very much pleased with him as an action figure. He does have the opening chest compartment that I kind of inadvertently revealed during the transformation. And you can see quite a bit of paint apps. You have this weathering on the inside of the door. That's all gray in here with his Energon Matrix. And it looks like the core of the Matrix is sized and shaped to actually house blast effects, which is a really nice touch, because he actually had an attack where he would fire energy from his Energon Matrix. So it's really neat that you can take like a nice blue blast effect and just attach it there and have him actually recreating that attack. I also really just want to point out how crisp the paint is on the chest. I mean, this looks like masterpiece level paint right here. They did a phenomenal job, and I really love that. All right, as far as like his attack modes or weapon modes, all that stuff. So you can go with the accessories on the lion mane. Just flip those out again. Take your, here they are. Take your other blasters from the back panel, if you still have them stored. Close that back up. And just stick them on the side. So this is just like how it was on the lion mode. Oh yeah, the mouth will actually kind of click shut. So it'll stay shut all the way when he's in robot mode, if you wanted to. Could have it open. So you can get that, which probably isn't the most useful attack because he's firing it from the side of his shoulder. But we do have some other options. So if you want to go like full-on attack mode or Evo Fusion, whatever you want to call it, take these off, remove these guys, close that mane up, get it looking all nice and neat. And you're going to kind of flip everything down on his arms. So you flip the lion legs down, flip these claws out. Same thing here. I know there's actually like an actual name for this attack with the lion claws, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. I'm sure someone in the comments will remember. All right, so you can have it just like that if you want to, if you want a pure melee, or you flip these panels down. These finally come into play. They're recreating that attack mode from the old toy. So let's see, I believe, which way does each one go? I'm not sure. I guess it doesn't matter because these tabs are about the size of a 5mm post anyway. I'm gonna say they probably work better in here and give him the ones with the actual round post in his hands. Also kind of helps even out the length of the barrels. All right, so yeah, put it like that, like this. Straighten everything out, and now you have him in this full-on attack mode. He is just ready to tear up some Predacons, or Destrons, as he may have called them at one point. It looks great. It really does. Nice and clean, especially for, you know, something that's really just flipping all of his kibble down. And again, no spring-loaded effects, none of that stuff. So you just get full posability, full playability. I really like it. The robot mode is, in my opinion, perfect. I can't think of anything that would make this look better. As far as functionality, again, minor quibble, wrist swivel. They could have engineered it in there. This could have been on a mushroom peg, you know, on a bit that, you know, would flip out, but whatever. Aside from that little tiny naggling there, I like it. I really think that it's just a phenomenal robot mode. Here's another quick comparison with the original Lio Convoy toy in his robot mode. And you can see, again, a lot of similarities. The biggest differences here being proportions and just kind of how the kibble all works. This guy, unfortunately, doesn't have a way to tuck his tail away because it's just this big, bulky piece here. So I do believe the new toy handles that a lot better, where it becomes almost like a spiky accent instead of just some tail hanging off. Another big difference is that for this old toy, you kind of have to keep these top pieces of the lion mane flipped out. Otherwise, they just kind of block his face. I mean, you don't have to, but it gets a little awkward when he's got all that hair in the way, so I tend to just leave that out so you can actually see him. Their weapon loadout that they got going on here works pretty much the same way. Obviously, he can mount him on his lion head or shoulder like he can, or you can kind of have everything split out on the arms, right? So they both have some sort of blaster to hold in their hand, his being two separate pieces, right? Because they actually fire these missiles. And then he's got the bits on here, just like he does. And then they even get the claw weapons. And the only real functional difference, or I should say aesthetic difference, is that his claws face the opposite direction of these. So I guess he's a little bit more accurate compared to this guy, because the claws, I suppose, should be turned around based on like the blade orientation, where you have the blades kind of scooping up like this. So yeah, I mean, minor things. But as far as the quality of a toy, I mean, this guy's way better. This one, he's a little unwieldy, kind of has balancing issues, and obviously without any sort of ankle tilt, you can't get him in very dynamic poses, right? He's pretty much just standing straight up and down. He is a lot bigger than the new toy, but that also puts him massively out of scale with most modern figures, so I think this guy really just works much better for any kind of modern collection, because toys overall have gotten smaller. I mean, if you don't care about scale, then, you know, maybe your old Lio Convoy will suffice, but as far as, you know, getting a toy that looks at home with your newer toys, you definitely want to go with this Lio Prime here. And lastly, here's a group shot with the other Prime or Convoy type characters that are part of that kind of G1 to Beast Wars lineage. So on the left, we have Optimus Prime, right, the original, and this is the Earthrise version. Then we have Kingdom Optimus Primal, specifically the Netflix version, because the colors are just closer to what they're supposed to be. And then, of course, we get our new Lio Prime or Lio Convoy here. And these three guys do look really, really good together. Especially the two Beast Wars characters right here. I mean, their aesthetics just match up so well. You can see, you know, kind of the Optimus Prime inspired design in both of them. Honestly, Lio Prime more so than Primal. He's, you know, a little closer to the source material. And it's just really neat having a collection of these characters that have this whole lineage. Now, the actual lineage, you know, between these characters is a little bit confused, I would say. There's hints that Optimus Primal is some sort of direct descendant from Optimus Prime. Like, how that works in Transformers world, I don't know, right? They don't just have kids in a normal sense. So it could just be like a passing of the, you know, title kind of thing. And then Lio Prime or Lio Convoy is a little bit different because he's from this far, far future where now they have an entire council of Prime-like convoys. So they're not all necessarily related to Optimus Prime. It's just kind of a persona they take on. Like, they all have that similar token head design, right? With the crest and the antennae and everything, the mouth plate. So he seems to be almost more like a follower of, you know, the ways of Optimus Prime or something than anyone directly related to him. Now, does that mean his physical appearance looked different before becoming a convoy? I mean, I don't know. I don't think they ever showed that part of his life. But, I mean, in the real world explanation is just marketing, you know, realize, hey, an Optimus Prime-like character would sell very well. And Lio Prime, I think, out of the three Beast Wars convoy leaders, right? Your Optimus Primal, Lio Convoy, and then Big Convoy. I think he's got the coolest design by far. It's the right combination of like a classic Transformers aesthetic with all the technological details and stuff, and then that little bit of stylized like anime flair where there's a lot of angles and flourishes. And don't get me wrong, I love Optimus Primal, one of my favorite characters of all time, but his design is very, very plain by comparison. So yeah, I'm personally happy to get all three of these guys together. It makes you wonder if they're going to do a new big Convoy figure sometime in the future. Though, I mean, it would be really hard to top the one that's out there, right? Because the original big Convoy is not nearly as dated of a toy as the original Lio Convoy. In fact, I mean, aside from the fact that he uses ball joints instead of universals and that he lacks ankle tilt, he's more or less equivalent to a modern toy still. In fact, he's so big and decked out, I don't even know if like they would put him in a leader price point. They may just bump him up into commander because there's a lot of bulk there. And if they went and, made some improvements on the toy that's already there, and especially made the mammoth mode less of just kind of a brick-like shell, I kind of doubt modern day Hasbro would put him up as anything less than a commander. So if they go that route, hopefully it's worth it. But of course, time will tell there. Who knows if they'll actually go that far and, redo Big Convoy. As cool as he is, I don't think he's as popular as Lio Convoy. For some reason, Lio Convoy just kind of remained in the public consciousness a lot more. Could just be because the design's cooler, right? And he's a white lion. He's very dynamic and he has a lot of presence on screen or on print. So we'll see. But even if we never do get a new Big Convoy, I'm perfectly happy with what we have so far. And I mean, you could always just throw the old Big Convoy toy in there and he probably wouldn't look too out of place. Like, he is bigger than these guys by a little bit, but he's supposed to be big, so I mean, it kind of works. And this completes our look at the brand new Transformers Legacy Evolution Leo Prime. You guys know I've been gone for a little bit, so I figured what toy better than to, kind of kick everything off, reinvigorate things, than this awesome, just absolute piece of art. I mean, Leo Prime or Lio Convoy has always been a very popular character. It's always been one that fans in the West have been clamoring for, as far as a domestic release, and, getting an update to the original, which hasn't really stood up very well over time. And I mean, to me, this guy is just perfection. I can't find anything about him from a functional standpoint that I dislike in any way. Aesthetically, again, just the lion eyes. The lion eyes, I mean, that's it. That's really my only issue with this guy, is just the unpainted eyes. Aside from that, this thing's beautiful. I mean, he does everything the original does, but pretty much better in every way. And he just has a much better presentation. He's far more articulated. He's a very, very good Voyager class toy. And, really makes a very strong showing in the very first wave of Legacy Evolution. For those of you that have been around for a while and you watched me review, the beginning of Legacy, especially when I took a look at that whole first wave, I wasn't overly impressed by what they had first put out there. I didn't really feel that they had come out swinging and showing us, the best of what Legacy could be. I felt, the toys weren't bad. They were just kind of meh, like, oh, well, these are fine, I guess, but nothing definitive, nothing like so awesome. Like, oh yeah, I am pumped, right? And then we get this guy. This guy, I think, just shows you that we're probably in for a really, really good year as collectors. I love everything about him. Really just so excited to actually have a new Lio Convoy toy. One that isn't just a recolor of, what's his name, Leo Breaker or something like that, but an actual Lio Convoy. Whether you want to call him Lio Convoy or call him Leo Prime, I personally prefer the Japanese name. I don't know. I wish they would go with that, but I've heard there's some legal reason that they don't. I don't know. But again, you can just headcanon it to whatever. But I mean, he's just so good. I just really, 100% recommend this guy. I couldn't be happier with him. And, it's got me really excited to take a look at more of Evolution as it comes out. I have, say about half the wave in hand right now, but I wanted to start with something, really strong and exciting as kind of a comeback. So, stay tuned for the core class, the deluxe. There's no leader in this first wave, or at least nothing new. It's like repacks from first wave Legacy. So I guess it won't be the biggest wave to look at. It's just going to be cores, deluxes, and Voyagers. But, based on what I've seen so far, it's going to be a really exciting first wave. So I look forward to reviewing those with you, kind of getting back in the saddle, and just, really enjoying this year together. And hopefully 2023 will be a really fun and exciting year for all Transformers collectors. Of course, that is just how I feel about this new Leo Prime or Lio Convoy toy. Now I want to know what you all think of this figure. Are you a big fan of this? Is this kind of like a grail that you've been hoping for a long time and you're really happy that it finally came out? Or do you maybe not really want this guy, either because you just don't have an attachment to the character, you never grew up with like Japanese Beast Wars and don't really care for it, you don't like the way it came out in some way, I'm sure a lot of people don't like the lion eyes and stuff, or is there something else about it you don't like, maybe you don't think it's a very good toy or a very good design? Any and all feedback, as always, is welcome in the comments section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss it a like, let YouTube know you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you for joining me for this long-awaited look at the brand new Transformers Legacy Evolution Voyager class Maximal Leo Prime. And with all that said, I will see you next time.